Welcome to Cardboard Connection Video. I'm your host, Ivan Lovegren. Today we're actually on location at Beverly Hills Baseball Card Shop, also available online at www.californiasportscards.com. We have a very special vintage segment coming up with the owner, Matt. That is sandwiched in between a look at Peyton Manning's rookie cards and a tribute to the late Tony Gwynn. So, let's check out the bookshelf and then come back to the card shop on Cardboard Connection Video. The late 90s will always be remembered for the rise of alternative rock, CGI, and excessively shiny insert cards. 1998 also marked the year Peyton Williams Manning was drafted with the first pick by the Indianapolis Colts and immediately became their starting quarterback. His legacy has only grown, as has the value of his 1998 rookie cards. Come with us as Cardboard Connection Video counts down the top 10 Peyton Manning rookies. First, some love for score. Peyton's 1998 score may qualify as the whitest card of all time, showing the always stiff Peyton in short shorts and a training camp jersey with signature towel, all accentuated by the white border and blue shadow lettering. But this was 1998, so if you need that card in peacock foil pattern, go ahead and pick up the artist-proof parallel. Win-win. Number 9 is a classic, Upper Deck Star Rookies number 1. With a stylized portrait style for their flagship rookie cards, Upper Deck created a card that is actually iconic, as opposed to card number 2 from that year's set. Thanks, Leaf. Number 8 is so jazzy I just had to include it, despite being perhaps less popular with collectors. Skybox Thunder Starburst. How many more explosive words and colors can one card take? As a parallel of an insert, this card can still command some decent dollars in high grade, so don't judge me, alright? Speaking of color and shine, Fleer Flare Showcase maybe does a more elegant job of combining those elements on a Manning rookie. And of course, the original Refractor card, Topps Finest, did a fantastic job with their first Manning card as well. Number 5 is the inaugural year of Bowman Chrome football, and Manning again was card number 1 in the set in a hot chase, though a limited number of Chrome preview cards were issued to hype the product and are even more sought after by collectors. The Chrome label applied to Topps is our number 4, with some untraditional photography from Topps. Their Peyton Manning rookie card is nonetheless easily recognizable, and perhaps his Topps base card. Sorry, top base card. But you can't discuss the 90s without Upper Deck. Their SPX line was a mark of high quality in collecting, and the serial numbered Manning SPX Finite is easily our number 3. This was numbered out of 1998 with a Radiance parallel numbered out of 50. Even more popular is our number 2, Manning's SP Authentic Rookie out of 2000. We couldn't pass up showing you his jersey number 18 out of 2000, BGS 9, listed for $75 grand. And at number 1, the top autograph chase of all time for football collectors, Playoff Contenders rookie ticket, Peyton Manning, with an alleged print run of just 200. Unopened boxes of the product are currently selling above $400. Those are our calls on the Sheriff's top rookie cards, but we'd love to audible if you've got something better. Let us know in the comments below. Coming up next, we've got a special vintage segment.
So anyways, we're here talking about some cards from the very first cards, the very first baseball cards, were actually issued in packs of cigarettes. And I find it very interesting how cards were virtually invented. Packs of cigarettes were very paper thin. There was a piece of cardboard to keep the pack intact. And in the late 1800s, as photography came into vogue, the first people had pictures. It was kind of a novelty. And so what happened is somebody came up with the bright idea of putting a photograph on that piece of cardboard, gluing it to it, and thus baseball cards were invented. Baseball players were one of many subjects that were actually put on those pieces of cardboard. So the very first cards are actual photographic cards. They're basically a photograph glued to a piece of cardboard. This is an original 1887 to 1890 Old Judge cigarette card. This card is of a guy named $10,000 King Kelly. King Kelly is probably one of the top 2 or 3 best players in the 1800s. He was known as $10,000 King Kelly because he was actually sold from one team to another for $10,000. I find it kind of ironic that now his baseball card sells for about what he was sold for. So his card, in really nice condition, would sell upwards of 10 grand. So I find that kind of funny. But these are blank back cards. These are also very interesting because these cards were printed on many layers of paper. And you will find some of these cards, most of them were glued to photo albums. That's how they were preserved. And so what happened in the 1970s and 80s, as these cards started to become valuable, is dealers would peel a common player, meaning that the back's very thick on layers of paper, and they would actually peel the top of a Hall of Famer, and they would peel the back of a common when the mint back, and they would adhere the better player to the better back. What that did was flatten the card out. So you'll find over the 100 years, there's a natural bend because of the paper and the type of print process. The ones that were reattached, you'll find to be flat. For whatever reason, that flattened the card. So it's another little giveaway, so you'll see what they call rebacked. It was well known that a guy named Copeland was buying them up in the 80s. He was the guy that owned the Wagner before McNoll did. Bill Mastro was actually selling a lot of product to him. So I believe a lot of the stuff that was sold to him was rebacked. That's where a lot of the rebacked stuff might have ended up at one time, because this was before grading, and I think unscrupulous dealers were passing these better cards as untampered. But that's also just instinctual. There's no proof behind that, but instinctually I think a lot of those cards, because of the known Wagner, were sold to Copeland. So we move right in from the 1800s to the next era of tobacco. So basically, tobacco cards were from the late 1800s to the early teens, 1911, 1912, and then they moved to candy and caramel. But so a lot of people, the most popular of the tobacco sets is the T206. The numbers are actually written in the early 50s when they cataloged everything. A group of guys got together, and so T stood for tobacco, N stood for cards in the 19th century. E, for whatever reason, was candy cards. And so all these letters and numbers were actually cataloged in the early 1950s. So T206 is the most popular of the tobacco sets. It's very well known because that's where the famous Honus Wagner card appeared. It was the most highly produced tobacco set of all. Cards were very abundant. They were in every pack of cigarettes that the American Tobacco Company made from 1909 to 1911, which were in the millions. They had accumulated many, many, many different smaller cigarette companies over the years prior to that. And they had left those companies with their original name. So even though they were the American Tobacco, or the ATC, the American Tobacco Company, they kept all the original names of the companies. So they produced the same card with many backs. So I like to try to explain. Now, these are fairly common backs. The backs were actually basically different companies that the American Tobacco Company had bought over the years. These were all the different cigarette companies that they had obtained. And they left those companies intact. So when they made these cards, they used that brand of cigarettes ad for that back. These are fairly common backs. This is a Sweet Caporal, Sovereign, Old Mill, Piedmont. And then what I've done here is I'm showing you two Sweet Caporals that are actually slightly different. This Sweet Caporal over here has 150 subjects. This Sweet Caporal over here has 350 subjects. And you'll notice that the Piedmont over here has 350 to 460 subjects. So the difference here is that these cards were made in different years. The first year that they made the cards, from 1909 to really the beginning of 1910, they had the 150 subjects. Starting somewhere February or March of 1910, they started to use the 350 subjects. And then starting somewhere February or March of 11, they started to use the 460 subjects. So the same card will come with all three of those backs. Although in some cases, if the guy came up in 1911, he won't have the 150 back, but he'll only have the 460. And there are guys that only have the 350 back. So you do really need to research which guys appear in which set. By the way, that's sometimes a giveaway when a card is not real, is that we see a reprint and the card didn't exist with the 150 back, but somebody has got that on eBay with a 150, and you're like, well, that can't happen. So crazy collectors will actually try to collect different backs as well. It's part of the collection. And they are valued slightly different as the card is rare. Some backs could be a big multiplier, like if you use it or a drum, even a common could be worth in the thousands of dollars. Whereas most of these, the difference is so minute, maybe 10%, that we don't actually change the price.
It's the holidays, and while that means giving thanks and celebrating loved ones, it can also mean reflection on the year past and those lost. For us here at Cardboard Connection Video, Tony Gwynn was the consummate baseball player of our lifetime. There was no purer hitter and no more genuine smile on the diamond. Let's take a look together down memory lane at some of his most memorable cards. First, when it comes to the junk wax era, a personal favorite was 1989 Donruss. I actually got this card personally signed by Gwynn at a Hy-Vee supermarket in Omaha, Nebraska on my 7th birthday. So I'm slightly biased, but it also holds extra personal significance. And I guarantee you, any fan who got the chance to interact with Gwynn was likely as impressed by his generosity and friendliness as young Ivan. Sticking with the era, number 9 is a 1988 Fleer National League Batting Champs card showing Gwynn posing with Tim Raines. Had to include that card because it evokes a time when collecting was about those great moments captured, a pre-game warm-up meeting between two all-time greats. We don't see enough images like this on cards today. Let's change that. Number 8 is a dual card shoutout. Topps used the Strata brand as an insert set in this year's Series 1 and 2 baseball and produced just 25 each of these Gwynn jersey patch autos and bat autos. Either one of those would be my Gwynn dream card. Number 7, we have 1996 Select Certified, which featured mirror inserts that were numbered. The golds like this one down to 30. Population 3 Jim Mint 10 make this a Gwynn Collector Chase card. Number 6 now is our last modern card of Gwynn, though this one also comes with a twist. In 2007 Topps Sterling, they included 10 game-worn jersey swatch autos of Gwynn from his 1986 All-Star Game jersey, as can be seen clearly in this card numbered 9 of 10. Number 5, we launch into Gwynn's rookie cards. Based on how Gwynn got called up to San Diego, he actually had no update traded style cards from 1982, just this TCMA Minors card from his time with the Hawaii Islanders. In high condition, this card can command greater premiums than most of his other rookie cards, but they still deserve placement ahead of it. For starters, who wouldn't love this Fleer rookie from the year when Fleer's borders were somehow more dull than the Padres' yellow and brown? Okay, I kid. But at number 3, I really do love Gwynn's 1983 Donruss for better balanced color and pop. Of course, Classic Topps takes spot 2, but their cousin to the north, O-Pee-Chee, has perhaps the most desirable Gwynn rookie card due to a smaller print run and perhaps more snow damage, eh? Aside from the logo in the upper right corner, O-Pee-Chee also is distinguishable because of its multilingual, so you can have an educational sports card in your collection as well. Rest in peace, Tony Gwynn. You will always be remembered and collected fondly. That's our episode for this week. What did you think of our choices? Do you have a Tony Gwynn or a Peyton Manning rookie that you prefer? And what are your thoughts on that vintage segment? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks again for watching Cardboard Connection Video.